This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hello and welcome to the dynamic Simracersworld GT Series live on the iRacing Esports Network, presented by Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me for this evening's racing is Marco Barbanir. We're here at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas, Austin. Marco, we just come off a superb round last time out at Sebring, one of the best rounds from this series ever. It was really highly regarded by many of the drivers. A lot of battles going on out on circuit, from first place all the way right down to the back of the field. This Circuit Americas track, I think, is going to hopefully provide very similar for this round 9 of the season.
Absolutely. Hello everyone, hello Sam. It's one of those tracks that really divides the opinions, but the more races we comment on this racetrack, the more it gets quite clear that, at least in the sim racing world, it's a very good track for what we like for racing, for side-by-side action. It's very wide. The second part of the lap especially really gives us a lot of chances to see these drivers use all the width of the track, and also we have a very picturesque setting for tonight's race, because it's going to be day into night. It's getting closer and closer to the sunset here in Circuit of the Americas, and so it's going to end the race hopefully with not pitch black darkness, but certainly some very unique lighting conditions for this race.
Definitely. It's, of course, some fantastic night effects on iRacing. If anyone hasn't checked out the night time, it is absolutely stunning in iRacing. They've done a brilliant job. And, of course, we set the in-sim time, and also the date as well. The date is accurate for today. So it's the 30th of October. It's 6:07 in the evening. And, of course, Northern Hemisphere. Relatively close to, well, it's closer to the equator than me or Marco, I guess. So slightly later sunset, but you're absolutely right. We'll get quite dark by the end of the race. Unfortunately, there's not any floodlights around this place, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue, and it should be very picturesque by the end of the event. In the championship, by the way, Mats van Liesnoord, he's not done bad. 8 out of 8 so far this season, and in qualifying so far, he's doing very well as well. He's 100 points clear of Chris Warner. He's in second place. Next, Kevin Van Steek, Matthias de Teege, and Robin Monster. The rest of those drivers, apart from Van Liesnoord, second down to sixth, all very close. So it's a fantastic battle for second place in that championship at the moment. In the silver category, we've got Ingmar Andersen just edging the way at the moment. He is 1 point ahead of Jeremy Hessels, with Nick Sherman's very much in there. Also, Ronald Moons up there in the standings. John McConville just dropped a few points, it seems, last week. Yeah, he did. And also Steve Clays, who's starting a quali ban today, a little bit further down. But there are many drivers, all the way down to about 6th place in that championship, who have still got a decent chance. Anton Dupangadan in 7th place at the moment in that championship, won the last round at Sebring, so it is very open. And in the bronze category, William Bush is leading the way, again by a small margin, 2 points ahead of Jais Mushli, Theisberg, Rob Thiessen, and Pimbow. A little bit further different, still very much in the championship. Of course, we always talk about every single week how close the championship is. And coming into the closing stages of this series, Marco, it's getting into crunch time, a retirement or a poor result right now, and it can be very difficult to recover with the rounds remaining.
Exactly, and you get only a couple of drops, and you cannot drop the final round of the season, and a lot of things can get in your way. You know, retirements, like you say, crashes, technical issues, or in the case of series boss Ian Roots, he's getting married. So congratulations. He will miss the next 2 rounds, but I think that for your marriage you can afford to do that, and he leaves the series in very capable hands. Congratulations, Ian.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, this will, yeah, of course, missing the next 2 weeks. Hopefully, he finishes 11th. Yeah, I mean that would be a
You know,
good
I'm a
thing.
bit.
I don't think he's got an 11th all season, to be honest.
I'm a bit surprised that he didn't get married on the 11th of the month.
Oh,
But
that would have been amazing.
he
11th of
will get
November.
married
Oh,
in November, which is the 11th month of
yeah.
the year. No. Also, while he enjoys this last race as before his well-deserved honeymoon, of course, this morning I opened up the phone. 3 of my friends on Facebook were celebrating their birthday, including this man, Martin van Luzenoord, who is trying to give himself the perfect gift with the 9th straight win of the season. Happy birthday to Martin, then.
I imagine, would 9 be a new record? I'm not sure if anyone's got to 8 before. I mean, Martin got quite a few last season in a row, and Ivan Ganekton got quite a few, but maybe 9 might be setting a new record, so, I mean, would be a fantastic achievement. And he's putting himself in a very good position. And I mean, this circuit is a lot about skill. Obviously, every circuit you gotta be good to go around, but this, Marco, is I would probably say the most tricky circuit on all of iRacing. I can't think of anything off the top of my head which is more tricky than this. Just with the range of corners, that first S section where you go absolutely thread the needle, and then these last few corners as well where you got to keep it within the white lines. And I think this is going to really help Martin because in terms of driver skill, he seems to just have the edge on everyone else.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are right, and of course, the longer the lap, the longer maybe the difference between the drivers come out. By the way, let me also say that we have a new, also one of the drivers in the series, Danny Cruz, who won the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe, if I'm not mistaken, last week. He won it, 1 year too late, because if had he won it last season, where he was not participating, of course, he would have been celebrating with me in Vallelunga, But that's that's another story, of course. So I think I got it right by reading on Facebook through my Facebook feed. But once again, if I'm wrong, still apologies for that. So it's a long list today of birthdays, marriages, title celebrations. We have qualifying going on. Also, this is the second and final car change opportunity for these drivers. You will see some of these guys have don't have a paint. For example, Lewis Ward here is running in a very generic white and purple Mercedes. The paint pack, I'm being told, behind the scenes is coming in a matter of moments. So we'll keep you posted on that. And also, in the matter of changing cars, well, he didn't change car, but Bob Boland has joined Rev Match Esports, and so you see him in the Meraki livery, but he will hopefully tonight during the race, as if by magic, switch to his correct colors.
Yes, fingers crossed. Big move that for Bodbone, and Kosovo is going to be one of the top drivers in the championship. Currently sitting in 8th place in the championship, always seems to struggle in qualifying the majority of the time. I think Brands Hatch may have been the one exception where he got on the second row, but apart from that, usually outside the top 10, or at least outside the top 8 when it comes to qualifying, but very much near the front. by the end of the event and finished in the top 3. I believe in the past 2 seasons of this championship, as he has a little bit of a slide. There's the number 26 car, and that will be the end of his qualifying lap. Of course, one of the most notable things about the circuit, of course, is the technical element of it, but also the off-track. And it's not necessarily an element we love to talk about because we want to talk about the racing, but it is very important, Marco, because of course in qualifying you have to set a completely clean lap, you can't pick up a 1x, and then in the race we are limited to 25 incidents across the entire hour. And apart from maybe Spa, I think this is going to pretty much be on a par, to be honest, with Spa in terms of the difficulty of keeping those incidents down.
Absolutely, and of course you have the power to tell us in real time the situation of the incident, and it's something that you are absolutely right. We will have to keep an eye on as the night goes on. I was also watching some. We had a driver that is not with us tonight, but used to race in the series, on and off. Job Van Uitert, which is also the namesake of one of the Riv match teams. The one that Danny Cruz, which has been confirmed by the chat, European Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion. So Job Van Uitert in 2017 he was racing in Vallelunga in the Italian F4 and had a crash with another opponent in a BWT, racing point styled liveried F4 car, and both drivers were okay. I don't know if Job is listening to us, but the car that hit him, the BWT liveried car, well, I have basically the entire right side of his car, of that car, not of Job's car, of the BWT car behind me in my room. I just realized this the other day. I was watching back the replay of that crash.
Why are they giving away parts of...
No, the perks of being a marshal, even though I was not a marshal back then. But one of my friends got that, and the team didn't ask for it back at the end of the day, so it became my birthday present later that year, in 2018. So, yeah.
Awesome. It's a small world, is motorsport. Of course, many of the drivers in this series, anyone who isn't familiar with this series, not necessarily a theme, there isn't any encouragement for real-life drivers to take part in this series any more than any other championship, but particularly the Rev Match drivers, several of them have got real-life driving experience and at an extremely high level as well, and there are plenty of other drivers as well from different. It really does show the fantastic elements of iRacing, where these guys do take this thing very, very seriously, and it's fantastic that drivers who maybe haven't quite got the opportunity to race in real-life motorsport can properly test their skills against the very best in the business. So, currently in qualifying is Martin van Loosenhoy is on pole position by 0.6 of a second, which is quite a large margin. Usually isn't too far ahead, Martin, in qualifying. Sebring, he failed to get pole. I think he started in 3rd place last week. But Chris Warner in 2nd in the championships, 2nd on the grid. Kevin van der Stek, good to see him back. I believe he's missed the past 2 rounds. No, he has been around for the past 2 rounds. Apologies. And then Danny Craze and Dion Phillips. Good to see Phillips back near the front, up there in 5th place at the moment. And Ingmar Ansen currently the top of the silver drivers, but still a little bit more time for these drivers to set sometimes, and gets the track cooling at the moment, Mark. Okay, so we're kind of getting the opposite of Sebring last week, where the track got progressively slower. This track is ramping up its pace.
You can see the track temperature on the right side of your screen right now, 21 degrees, and of course dropping, like you were saying, as the night goes on. As you can see, it's getting quite late. It's almost 20 past 6 in the afternoon. A bit of wind, but not too much, I would say. Certainly, I would say these are perfect racing conditions for these drivers.
Yeah, they'll certainly appreciate this amount of grip out here. Apparently, there was someone's race which got up to 50 degrees track temperature today, which is not so pleasant, and this pace is difficult enough, and it can get very hot here, but fortunately, as we were saying, nice and cool. Not sure if iRacing takes into account the date in terms of the temperature. Of course, being a little bit cooler in October would definitely make sense. So, 2 more minutes of qualifying. In fact, not even that, 20 more seconds of qualifying. Martin Plowman is going to try to complete this lap. He might even go for another one straight away. It's a 2-minute 2.8 for Plowman, and it is an improvement. Currently sitting in 13th place on the grid. Might well be going for another lap straight away. Is there anyone else improving out on second at the moment? Kevin Van Slick still out there. Dion Phillips as well. Bod Bolan, Tom Methrel. Can't see Martin Van Loosenor currently on the circuit, but let's see if Giles trying to bolster their positions as the checkered flag comes out. Van Loosenor is in fact still out on circuit, so just one more corner to go off camber. Of course, extremely tricky final corner. Can so easily mess it up by running wide. And he improved? No, it seemed like he picked up an instant earlier on in the lap. He can't improve on his 2-minute 1.06. And so that's certainly the benchmark for everyone else. Try somehow to beat. Kim Van Slick is trying to do that. He's got about a fifth of a lap to go, which is still a decent length around this one of the longest circuits we visit all season long. And just got those two left-handers to complete.
Yes, just a couple of corners left for the RevMatch Esports driver. Careful not to get an off track there. So easy. I think that is the corner that ruins the most laps around this place. And here he comes. Van der Slick, start finish line for him. Not going to be an improvement. Anton Dupin also is coming home, sitting in 5th place of his class, 22nd overall. Is improving on all of his first 3 sectors. Let's see, the 4th is 2.3 seconds away, bad final sector for Dupin, but he still manages to improve up to P15, as also another driver is improving there, Chris Miles up to P17. Let's see who we have also. Martin Plowman is past official. Ruben Van Buren also is coming home. Final corner for him. I think, yeah, he improves 202.955. Actually getting just squeaking past Dupin for P15. And now we wait for the gridding process.
Yes. And yeah, Van Buren a little bit further down there, 15th place. He's usually in the top 5 when it comes to qualifying, but I'm sure he's going to be able to move his way back up. A little bit of a more mixed up grid. I guess this place, if he can put in hours of practice, it really will yield a good result. Of course, you may have also noticed some good camera shots. I say good camera shots, some different camera shots. We have done a camera pack for this place, so some decent cameras are going your way. Not that the iRacing defaults aren't good, of course. They are
No, they are
they are
beautiful.
spectacular. But these ones are certainly slightly old. As we just go down to the last 5 seconds, then of course we'll have the formation lap, which isn't a full formation lap around this place. So it's one of the few American circuits not to have that. It is a newer circuit though, so I guess iRacing started to start having the half formation laps as they do here, because we'll be lining up just before the turn 11 hairpin. There they are. So the grid. Martin Van Loosenor gets pole position, 6/10 of a second clear of Chris Warner. Kevin Van Sick and Lewis Ward line up on the second row of the grid. Then it's Danny Cruz, Dion Phillips and Bod Boland. Very good qualifying for Rev match out there. Then it's Neil Cooper, Tom Metherell, Nick Sherman's top out of the silver jersey. He's well, currently 3rd place in the championship, so real opportunity for him to perhaps clinch that one today in the top 10 overall. Then it's PJ Clayton's, Matthias Zetige, Ingmar Andersen, Martin Plowman, Ruben Van Buell, Anton Dupin, Ian Roots, Chris Miles, Chris Muretta, Ben Thanes, Sam Bentham, Ewan Marshall, Dries Mujdi, Bram Van Utsven, Seb Herbert, Jeremy Hessels, Rob Thiessen, Ronald Moons, Stephen De Wolf, Stephen Castrop, Lee Woodburn, Pim Bao, Roy Reverke, James Hobden, Kevin Boland, and John McConville, starting in 36th place. A few drivers got penalties, I believe, from the last round, so didn't set qualifying times. Certainly Steve Clays is one of them. and I believe Ryan Walker and Ben Llewellyn are also two drivers who have got that situation. So a few drivers I'd say out of position today, Marco. Ruben Van Buell starting in 15th place out there. Maybe Chris Moretz starting in 19th, a little bit out of place. Jeremy Hessel's the leader in the Silver Championship, only 26th on the grid. So some good opportunities for drivers to make up some places and a slightly more obscure grid today.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on all these drivers you just mentioned because they are certainly they will be willing to maybe take an extra risk or two. This track, look how wide it is from this camera shot that we have. You can really use a multitude of lines and to try and go for the pass. We know the slipstream is not that prominent in GT3s, but still in a straight this long, it will certainly, I think, play a part. And of course, keeping your car clean, you don't want to have aero damage anywhere, but especially here, as the cars are finally rolling, and we are, I think, just about ready to go racing.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be potentially a little bit of an awkward final corner and first corner. The pace car comes in quite early, and the drivers can put their foot down pretty much between the penultimate and the final corner. But Van Nistelrooy tends to leave it till quite a late moment for him to really put down that power. Surely Chris Warner's best chance of winning this race is going to be to take the lead going into turn one. Of course, on the outside into that first corner, going to be very tricky for the Mercedes driver. Of course, yeah, Van Nistelrooy, Warner, Van der Sleek, Ward and Kroes, the top 5 places, and watch out for the silver and the bronze drivers. A little bit further down the order, very important race this for the championship. This round 9 of the Dynamic Simracersworld GT Series, and we're about to get underway. Car number 1, Arts Van Nistelrooy on pole position. Pace car is about to pull in, and from here, it's Van Nistelrooy's choice when to put his foot down. The green flag is going to come out very, very soon. So round the final corner. Van Nistelrooy from pole, Warner from second. We are away for 60 minutes of racing at Circuit of the Americas. Straight away, 3 wide for second place as they run down into turn 2. That's great. Warner and Van der Sleek all side by side. Who's going to win out? Still, Van Nistelrooy out in the lead. He almost makes contact with one of his teammates. Warner trying to stick it around the outside. He's got a good momentum round there, although he might still drop down into 4th place. Tight on the inside, just about avoids Kroes, who's up 3 places from his start. Incredible start. And now, Warner's going to surely lose another place.
Oh, here we go!
And he's launched into his rival, and he's off the circuit with some damage as well. And he's going to fall right to the rear of the field. He fought valiantly to hold on to that top 3 place. But in the end, it was a terrible end.
Yeah, unlucky there for him, as we are. Oh, we also more drama at the back of the field. Massive. Oh, big hit there, and still crashing is a massive hit for Ewan Marshall. Which has quickly towed back to the pits, but that was a massive hit, Sam, there.
Yeah, that was making contact with another driver, I believe, and spinning into the inside wall. Great shame for him. And that could well be the end of his day. No fast repairs, of course, in this championship. So, we're not even completed the first lap, and yet there's quite a few changes out there. Kroes up 3 places, Boland up 3 places into 4. Van Slick down 3 places, Clayson's up 4 places, Dupin from 16th on the grid, he's up into 10th, and that's 2nd place out of the silver drivers, crucially. So brilliant start for him, as we see Clayson's trying to make some inroads on the driver ahead of Van Slick, who could be carrying a little bit of damage after making contact very early on in that lap. Also picking up a 1x straight away in this event. Also a little bit of side-by-side between Dupin and Detige, just a little bit further back, but Dupin hanging on to that position as the first lap goes into the books.
So we see now Hessels and Roots with a bit of damage on the front right of his car. Here we go with the overtake attempt from Essos, and he gets the job done. Also Ben Thames fencing his chances as well there. So will Bram Van Oyfen, so poor Ian Roots being swarmed by all of his opponents. I think also because of the damage, mainly because of the damage, he was involved, of course, in that mess there at the start of the race. As Nick Schurmans is a bit wide, of course, you will see a lot of red flashing on the timing tower as the drivers are picking up off track after off track. And like you were saying, Sam, I won't be surprised if there's going to be a plethora of disqualifications tonight as Neil Cooper gets past Nick Schurmans for P8.
Yeah, so Sherman's making a couple of mistakes seemingly, and Cooper taking an advantage of it. Back into his starting position now is Cooper. Might try to retaliate, but I doubt he's going to have the straight line speed those Mercedes, particularly the Furious Simsport. So he's very quick down the straight. Martin Plowman very much detached from the rest of the field. In fact, is he already a lap down? Oh yeah, of course he was had to tow back. Oh, why did he tow back to the pits?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what happened there because he maybe didn't grid, or maybe he gridded and then went back to the pits, and then you know, when you grid for the first time, then the sim, you know, you give the sim the thumbs up that you are ready to go. So if everyone else grids, you then grid back, as Ewan Marshall has got an unsafe rejoin driver standard warning. We say hello to our race steward tonight, is Peter Growls, and certainly a lot of work to do for him in this first lap. But Sam, it is going to be a busy night for him, a busy night for us, trying to keep track of all these drivers, and really your work will be very welcome with all the you know, off-track updates, because these, judging by, we know that our system, the STK gaming system, is very harsh on the drivers. So when you see that number flash in red, it is not necessarily an iRacing off-track as well, but I mean, around here it's very easy to pick up an off-track. So I would say that oh, massive net got contact, and Ronald Moons is around, and so is Sam Bentham.
Moons third place in the silver class championship. Bentham not doing too badly recently either, with 2 consecutive wins in the bronze class, but that's set them back massively. A bit of damage, but not too bad for them not to continue. I mean, if you're going to go side by side into the S's, you're running that risk. It was Bentham trying to go alongside Moons. I guess maybe could have left more room because he did see the Mercedes on his inside, but at the same time, of course, maybe it was a bit too much of a daring move from Bentham. So we might well see a warning or a proper penalty for that in a moment, as Ingmar Anderson trying to race Ben Thanes at the moment. Is he losing this position to Thanes potentially? He's just going round his outside at the moment. Jeremy Hessel's up ahead of these guys, with Ian Root trying to get involved, and it was Anderson holding on to that position in 15.
And you know, Sam, in a track where the off tracks are so easy, it is absolutely imperative to limit the amount of you know, incident points that you get by hitting other drivers or, you know, speeding, etc. No? Because those are 2 or 4 incident points that you may regret going down the road when the end of the race comes, and you are maybe dancing with 1 or 2 X's away from disqualification. So for all these drivers that were involved in these couple of crashes at the very start of the race, it's going to be an extra layer of problems for this 1 hour race. So let's keep an eye on them. And of course, when you hit another driver or get hit or whatever, the damage is also a big part of the problem. So for the likes of Chris Warner, a tough road ahead, as Steve Clays now is getting passed by Martin Plowman. So Martin Plowman is not 1 lap down. Okay. He's on the lead lap.
Yes. I don't know why I thought he was 1 lap down, to be honest.
No, yeah, the system showed that he was 1 lap down. So.
Oh, okay.
Whatever the case, is not, as Ronald Moons, I think, has had enough. Not enough as in getting out of the track, but enough. Sorry for my terrible pronunciation. And he called it a day for this 9th round of the season. Sad to see him retire. So, Valusoner Cruz, Ward, Boland, and Phillips. We have 5 cars of rev match in the top 6, and also we have in the top 7. The other 2 cars in the top 7 are Alpine Sinsport cars, Lewis Ward and PJ Claessens. PJ Claessens, I think, switched to the Ferrari, and he has this beautiful new livery for his car. Track map is not working. Absolutely right. Thank you to whoever pointed it. And it's still not working, so I will let you know when
it could
now
be...
it's working. Maybe the track map didn't like COTA, but no, it's back to working again. Thank you for anyone who let us notice there. Marvin Amans, of course, always with a keen eye on the broadcast. So thanks to him, and the track map should be back.
Awesome. I was thinking maybe it was Halloween thing, where actually the circuit was a bit of a ghost circuit and no one was on it. But clearly not the case, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I can't actually see the incidents, which is a great shame. And so we're going to be in a bit of the dark. I mentioned someone else probably set up the session, so anyone who isn't familiar, you by default usually get the same people being if someone new to it, so it's very awkward to add everyone back to it. So a bit of a shame that, but we'll still keep an eye out, of course. If drivers do start stopping inexcusably, most likely they've gone over that 25 instant limit.
Driver standard warning for Ronald Moose. Ronald Moose number 26 for the contact with Ben Llewellyn at the S's. Let's jump on board with Bob Boland of Meraki, of Rev Match Esports, despite being in Meraki colors. Now, of course, we are back in the onboard shot. You can see, speaking of Halloween, the fact that colors of the sky are getting closer and closer to the nice iRacing orange sunset, and also we can start to see the lights on the cars have been switched automatically by the system to, you know, higher power, more light coming out of the headlights. Sorry for the terrible use of the words. We can see already the brake discs glowing. So this is officially, for all intents and purposes, a night race, and it's nice to have the transition happen so smoothly as we have. I saw someone drop.
I think it's Pimbao.
Pimbao, yes.
And Danny Cruz as well. Seems to be dropping down.
Danny Cruz has disappeared. You are absolutely right.
I assume that's not a disqualification already. That would be quite early on in the day, but Pimbao a bit with a big issue as we're watching.
Man, Danny Cruz has disappeared on the stroke of the 5th lap of the race. He's got 5.00 laps on the timing tower, on the timing screen, and then he disappeared. And when he's not reappearing, you know, in a matter of a few seconds, that is usually bad news. Hopefully, our secret informer, Marvin Amans, his teammate, will keep us posted on whatever has happened there. But of course, everyone gains one spot now. Ward, Boland, Phillips, Van der Slick, everyone else basically jumping up one spot. The one thing I can say, and it's very surprising, or maybe not, because we have always had this season Van Loosenhout winning, but it has not always been like a walk in the park. But tonight he already has, of course thanks in part to the disqualification, after 12 minutes, 8.2 seconds over Lewis Ward. But look at that, this is almost like in the 2000 when Schumacher was winning all the races, but the fight between McLaren and Williams and sometimes other teams, maybe Renault was absolutely fantastic, or maybe you know, like Formula 1.5 now, even though just like it was back then, the cameras didn't really like to show the race directors, the camera director, to show the midfield battles instead of, you know, letting us watch the leaders run all alone at the front of the field.
Yes. We want Carlos Sainz. Just put an onboard camera of his race. I'm sure it'll be very exciting. Let's not talk about the Mexican Grand Prix too much. It was quite an anticlimax. Usually in this series, though, the last 10 minutes is the very best. All goes a bit crazy in the last 10 minutes in this series. But it's something that we're not quite sure why that happens. You'd expect our long race, everyone just drags apart. The strategy isn't that much of a factor in this series. Anyone who isn't aware, the drivers are limited on fuel, so they have to pit between about 20 and 40 minutes into the race. But they all put the same amount of fuel into the car, so it's not that much of a factor. But the last 10 minutes always goes a little bit crazy around this series. But you're absolutely right. Van Liesnel dominating at the moment, 8.8 seconds, 9 seconds even now. Sebring, he was very close to match, but today, absolute domination. Martin Plowman, he's trying to make his way up through the order after a tricky start. Kevin Boland is first up on his list, or next up on his list, and he dispatches Boland very comfortably there. Ian Roots going side by side at the moment with Ingmar Andersen, Ben Thanes. Andersen's been able to pull away from these two in recent laps, and Roots trying to get the cutback. That's a decent cutback, can't quite get on the powers early as he'd like, and he's inviting other drivers into the mix. But as Marco has said, such a wide circuit here, you can really go side by side, especially through this part of the track. You'll have the inside for the penultimate corner, so easy to make contact. Will Bao leave him space? He just about will. Roots, to be fair, leaves a lot of space on the outside as well, and surely to this off-camber final corner, he should have the edge, but he really doesn't. And I think this battle is going to maintain all the way down the pit straight as they move on to their 8th lap of this race. And it's tricky to defend the inside into turn 1, but that is what Bao is doing extremely well. And Roots just cannot find a way past him. Once we get into turns 3, 4, 5, it becomes all but impossible to overtake. And that attack from Ian Roots has very successfully been repelled by the rev match driver.
Sadly, computer issues for Danny Cruz, so he's out of the race, very disappointingly so, as the first quarter of an hour is already in the books. And you can see with each passing lap the headlights reflection on the racetrack is getting brighter and brighter, and this means that the light of the sun is getting dimmer and dimmer. Different interpretation of the braking area there between Thanes and Root. Let's see also, we might have well, the fight for P2 is still going on very strongly, but let's focus on this battle for a bit. Let's maybe run on board with Bram van Uitman.
Oh, that's deep, and that was a good time to cut to it on board, because that was very close to making contact. I don't think he did make contact, but everyone else just concertinaing in front of him, and it almost ended in disaster.
Ryan Walker out of the race for Nomad Sim Racing. This car already showing the battle scars, and I think he has had enough. And so out of the race he goes. Same time we see Martin Plowman going past another driver, this time Lee Woodburn. Roy Verweyck and Obden. Of course, Verweyck last night was racing in the MX-5 PSR series, the Pro Series, and change of pace today from the MX-5 and Barber Motorsports Park, by the way, to GT3 at Circuit of the Americas. It's certainly a nice change of pace.
Yes, definitely. personally, whenever I've done racing, if I'm driving two different cars, I want to be driving them around completely different circuits. Often driving similar cars but around the same circuit is actually incredibly difficult because there's minor things you have to change, whereas at least this is complete polar opposite, as you were saying previously. Dupin under big pressure. He was under big pressure at Sebring last week. If anyone didn't see Sebring, I mean, look back at it. I mean, the last 25 minutes were absolutely incredible. And he managed to repel those attacks on one out of the silver class. Might not win today, but he's putting himself into a decent position, certainly to get a podium. So as Dupin actually is now dropping down the order, he's lost 2 places. He might be able to recover one of them against his teammates. But very strong on the brakes there was Matthias Titij. Moves up into 10th place. Chris Miles up 9 places now, and I was going to say earlier on how Miles had a big good qualifying lining up on in 18th, but he's had even better race. Well inside the top 10 at the moment is the 235 car. Can't remember him ever running quite that high before.
Drivers under warning for Sam Bentham, and to add some spice to the conspiracy theory. So Ryan Walker just retired from the race, and 1 minute later the other Ryan Walker, or supposedly the other Ryan Walker, pops into the chat.
Mrs. Doubtfire all over again. Sorry, that's my reference to that theory.
That movie was fantastic.
I've never seen a race with the 2 Ryan Walker.
Yeah, absolutely. That smells very, very fishy, if you ask me. So.
Oh, that's a lot of curb. Was that
Chris Miles.
Chris Miles, apologies. Well, that's a bit of a curse because he was, well, I was saying how he was well inside the top 10. He's not inside the top 10 anymore. And he's now down to 12th, even down to 13th as Hessels tries to take advantage of this, but Miles does well, keeps his car around the outside. And that's caused a bit of bonnet damage as well, and that's the trickiness of that S's section. It's not quite as painful in these GT3 cars, as Hessels will have another go. They're both deep on the brakes, one's making contact to the Miraki car ahead, but Hessels does move ahead. But yeah, not quite as difficult in these cars as it is, say, a prototype like the LMP1 or the HPD P2 car, or even a GT3, much more downforce, aerodynamic downforce dependent cars. But it can still really cost your straight line speed in these vehicles. And you can see even in the slipstream there, due to that damage for the Mercedes, really couldn't gain at all on what is perceived to be the slowest car down the straights. Of course, the BMW, but the way that Hessels is driving that right now, the championship challenges, as De Wolf is into the wall.
And Van Buel with
wow,
big barbecue on the side of the road, and Kevin Boland also. That must have been a big one. Okay, so this is something that just happened. Well, let's see what happened to the other drivers. Oh! I just got the back end of the crash. Here we go. Side by side, then into the corner. The Wolf goes wide. Comes back, clips the grass, clips Van Buel, and they both go their separate ways, smashing hard into the wall. And that was all she wrote for both of these drivers. A very unfortunate crash that sadly will take them out of the proceedings.
Undoubtedly a race to forget for both of them, particularly for Ruben Van Buel. Usually a driver who finishes in the top 10, but after a tricky qualifying had a bad start as well. Dropped 15 places on the start, and just as he was recovering, was out of the race now. This race is certainly on there. Lewis Ward, who I always try to remember where drivers have finished this season, but I don't think Lewis Ward has got a podium this season so far. Here comes Kevin van der Slik from a little way back against his own teammate, of course, Bod Boland. And Boland gets done into the hairpin. Needs to be careful of his other teammates as well. And Kevin van der Slik moves back up into 3rd position, then back where he started.
Yes, absolutely. Don't get fooled by the livery there. It's a new. It's not anymore Meraki. I cannot talk tonight. Rev Match Esports for Bot Boland. But there the battle continues, and now of course it's Van der Slick very close to the back of the Alpine Sport Mercedes.
Yeah, he's just moving on to the next car very quickly. Lewis Ward doesn't usually get involved in too many incidents. Really put up much of a defence into turn 1. Doesn't have to. Van der Slick trying to get the cut back, but always fine with this turn 1. There's pretty much no advantage of getting a good exit, because even if you do get a good exit, you get through turn 2 and then you approach this section of corners where you want to be a little bit further back, just as Van der Slick is right now, so you've got a slightly better view of where you're turning the car. Different lines taken by these drivers. You can go for a slight joker overtake there, but pretty much single file. And then, of course, the track opens back up again into these 2 consecutive hairpins with extremely wide entries, as Herman Tilke has demonstrated on a few of his circuits, just to really encourage overtaking. And Van der Slick just trying to nail this exit. Down the back straight now they approach. And this is going to be tough for Ward to defend against, because the track is just so wide. That Mercedes, fantastic straight line speed though. Is he going to position his car into the middle of the circuit? Barely any gaining whatsoever for Van der Slick. He now puts his car on the inside. And there was not much resistance put up by the Alpine Sim Sport driver. Van der Slick moves up into 2nd place, and that recovery after contact on the first lap is pretty much complete.
Very nice move there, absolutely fantastic. Of course, all this battling is really not helping these guys. The last lap, 2:01.6 for Marten van Loosener, would have been his best lap, but he collected an off-track somewhere. For Van der Slick, 2:03.07, 2:03.7 for Ward, and now Van Loosener gets the fastest lap of the race, and of course also his personal best, 2:01.62. And of course in this lap there was this big fight also for 2nd place and backwards, so it's certainly they're going to lose a bit more. Yeah, 1.5 seconds more or less for Van der Slick, and a bit more for Ward and the others. So Van Loosener really on a class of his own today.
Just to answer a question on the YouTube chat about the lowest I-rated driver in this series, we've actually got a 1.2k driver, which is, sorry, I say 1.2, I think it was 1.2, yeah, 1.2k for Ben Llewellyn out there, and we've got plenty, in fact 1k for James Hobden. Of course they are far above that I-rating level, but I mean, it's probably, as long as you're 2k, you'll certainly fit into this series. And of course, there's also the Simracersworld Development Series on a Thursday night, which is the feeder series for this championship. So if you do really well in that championship, then you get promoted up into this main series. It gets broadcasted by us, of course. The feeder series doesn't get broadcast by us, but if you do well in the feeder series, you get up into this one on the iRacing Esports Network. So more details about that you can find on the Simracersworld.com websites, and you can sign up and all sorts. Certainly do recommend it. One of the best organised leagues that we cover on Apex Racing TV.
We just got a glimpse of Sam Bentham parking his car and retiring from the race. It's certainly
up Bentham's chances of getting 3 in a row last week, but not to be. He's got the pace. Everything went against him though today.
Yeah, I mean, and we are seeing that for some of these drivers already, it's maybe a combination of you know, damaged car, many incident points, frustration. It's been a tough night for some of these guys as we are heading into the halfway mark of the proceedings. Getting darker and darker. Once again, Ian Roots promised it wouldn't get like pitch black, especially because it's not one of those night racing optimized circuits. Like we were talking with them last week, there are no headlights, no stadium lights, I should say, on around this racetrack yet. hopefully they will come soon in all of the tracks that are released, or that they were released. For example, Barcelona got the night racing treatment when it came out, even though it's not a track that you think about as being a night racing track, even though they have the 24-hour race there for the 24-hour series. But even a few lights, around the paddock or in the stands or the pits make for a much better driving experience. Speaking of which, and now I will just go into a bit of a tangent. For the upcoming motorsport games that are coming to Vallelunga Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, since the drift competition will be held at night, they installed 14 temporary stadium lights, and I saw the pictures. It looks fantastic. I am already asking why can't we keep them there like forever, because it looks like a proper stadium. They are all in the final part of the track, in the stadium section at Vallelunga, as Ward and Phillips are still battling with each other. But apparently, sadly, they will be removed after the event after the weekend.
Shame. Do they not have? So is it? Have they not got floodlights around?
No, Vallelunga doesn't have floodlights. No.
Ah, okay.
And which is sad, because it's one of the few tracks that doesn't have time restrictions in Italy.
Yes. Yeah. Disappointing. Certainly. So it's just in the middle of nowhere, is it? So there's no neighbours to disturb.
No, there are neighbors, but I don't know why they are very gentle. Mostly because there are not many races left at Vallelunga. So this is like our big chance, no? The FIA Motorsport Games with a mixture of the FIA and SRO joining, because you want to know why the FIA Motorsport Games are in Vallelunga this year? You would think because the track is very good and I love my own track. No, it's because Stefan Rattel, the head of SRO and so once called Blancpain Series, just bought a new home in Rome and wanted to have a home race because he never had, because he lived, I think, in London before.
Alright, okay. Fair enough. Well, Anderson's just got past Miles, as we see we're telepathic, clearly. We see a change of position straight to that. So Anderson, that's quite an important move. Anderson back to where he started. Behind Jeremy Hessels as well. He's had a terrible race, up 14 places, Hessels. Only about 8 seconds off the lead of the silver drivers is Hessels. I don't believe he's got the pace to overhaul Sherman. He might not even have the pace to match Sherman's, to be honest. And with so much traffic ahead of him, going to be tricky to catch up. But as we said last week, before Sebring even happened, we were saying how we don't have easy silver class victories. We never see a lights to flag silver class win. And then at Sebring, I think it was Sherman, so he got spun round by another driver, or maybe even Hessels it was. He got spun and opened the door for Anton Dupin to win that day. So certainly do not count anything right now for that category. It's certainly a lot can still happen, no doubt. Still Ward holding off Phillips. Great to see Phillips back up on the order. He had a good Spa qualifying, I seem to remember, and a few good first rounds, but it's been struggling to score some top 10s recently. But certainly back where he belongs. But I mean, the Mercedes just so quick, Marco. It's odd. I thought the Audi used to be the fastest car, or the Ferrari maybe, but it seems like, I don't know if maybe it's a setup choice, but certainly Meraki always are very quick down the straights in that Mercedes, and it seems like Lewis Ward also has that characteristic built into his car.
The Mercedes is certainly the most balanced of the cars, and I know that I'm not very fast, in fact I'm very slow, but I also own all of the GT3 cars in iRacing, and I tried them all, and the one that gave me, I wouldn't say decent results, but not horrible results, has always been the Mercedes. He's so predictable in his behavior, and certainly you can go faster with the Audi, and certainly the Ferrari also has its pros. The McLaren is amazing on fast tracks, like for example Monza, but the Mercedes is the perfect all-rounders, and in the hands of even a not stellar driver, you know, can be certainly trusted to, you know, do the job. Of course, then you need to be also quick, but it's certainly good to start with the knowledge that the car is not going to betray you. You know, sometimes it happens with the Audi, for example, has that tendency to lose the rear end, or you know, just being a bit of a tank like the Ferrari, or you know, just plain you know, old like the McLaren or the BMW. And also, I'm told we have another GT3 car in iRacing, but that shall not be named. Oh, two of them, sorry, that shall not be named.
Two. I think I know what you're talking about. One that's a safety car.
One of them is a safety car. The other was actually still running around last year in this series, if you remember, last season in this
It's a
series.
GT2, of course.
Yeah.
Not a GT2. Fortunately, not in the proper Blancpain. Oh, sorry, it's not Blancpain. VRS series was changed about a year and a half ago, so should really keep up with the times. But still, Phillips. I mean, he can't get past Ward, whatever he tries. And this is the part, it's like actually where he seems to get closest through the corners, but it's also the place where it's by far the most difficult to overtake. We've also got a nice battle forming between Dupin, Moretta, and Hessels currently. Dupin not seemingly mega quick out there, but then I don't know what it is about Anton Dupin, but these last two rounds, he just doesn't get overtaken. To be fair, he was overtaken earlier on. He was running as high as 9th earlier on, but we got overtaken by Sherman's NT. But he had a brilliant start. It's falling backwards a little bit, but he's been able to hold off Chris Moretta for a few laps already. Jeremy Hessels was a little bit closer a few moments ago, but just drops back to about a second behind, but he is certainly on his way. And then we've also got this battle with Roots ahead of Mujdi and Warner. Roots quite a long way behind Thames now. So Thames being able to pull away after being under pressure earlier on as Warner moves down the inside. Starts it in second place, did Warner. Had a spin on the through the S's on the opening lap. And just trying to recover as many places as he possibly can. He's up into 17th now. Could still be a decent point at all for him as Dupin is having to go mega defensive now against Hessels. Moretta has already got past. And Hessels very much in on that BMW is very narrow, which can be pretty good for a racecraft. A little bit easier to find a gap, and he's going to try to find one here into the Turkey Turn 8-esque right-hander. Even though it's got 4 apexes, I guess, as Dupin really under pressure now. Far ahead enough into the penultimate corner, but running wide. That might just help his speed a little bit, but of course, picking up another 1x. Dupin was close to getting disqualified last week, and now he gets a slowdown. In fact, he was that wide, seemingly, was Anton, and he does let his silver class rival pass on the outside.
You see, weaving left and right, the pro trick to get rid of a slowdown quicker, but
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it as well, but you know, better safe than sorry. I mean, you have got nothing to lose, no?
Yeah.
I told you many times, slowdowns don't really make a difference. In fact, they make me go faster.
Well, Anson's just gone off the circuit. I think we just saw him spear off into maybe the wall, just a couple of moments. Oh, well, yeah, he's hit a wall.
Yeah.
He definitely did. Usually through the S's, you get away with the mistake, but I think he was through that third kind of corner of the S's, and it's really let him down. Here it was through turn 2, and must have just lost the rear end, or has he hit the curb? Oh, he's hit the curb. He's whacked the curb, and that is a high impact into the wall. Not a concrete wall. Ought to be a little bit softer that, but well, tell that to his Audi.
And if there's something that you don't want to do to these cars, is damaging the rear wing. Damage that doesn't get repaired. We are all hoping for the new damage model to come sooner rather than later, to have a more realistic, especially in the enduro setting, you know, more realistic damage behavior. But nice fight here between Thames and Miles as they are still fighting through the final portion of the track. It's getting properly dark as Boland is about to get past Lewis Ward, and so he does.
It took him a few attempts, but does get the job done. Only 1 second behind Phillips still, so hasn't lost too much ground. And also, PJ Clayson's, who we haven't talked about too much. I think whilst these guys have been fighting, Clayson's 0.8 of a second faster on that last lap, and he's certainly going to be in amongst these guys now. So the Alpine Sim Sport drivers could well swap positions. Certainly the 32 with the more momentum. But you're absolutely right, Marco. It's getting quite dark, and this is really going to start affecting the drivers with the lack of light around the rest of the circuit. Miles round the outside of the rev match driver of Ben Thanes, and that's a very nice move. Credit to Thanes for leaving a car's width on the exit of turn 1. And it's Miles who moves up now into 13th place. He's having a very good day as he hits the curve, and he undoes all of his good work.
Yeah, absolutely. He goes wide there. He will pick a slowdown plus the complimentary off track. First of the drivers to blink is Martin Plowman into the pits from the top 20 and out in 14.2 seconds in the pit stall. Let's see, it's a very long pit lane, also it's going up the hill. He's got 45 seconds stop, all things considered, so we will use that as per usual as a baseline to see how he's going to compare to the other drivers, as I think that the pit stops will begin in the next maybe the pit window is officially open. One thing that I love about the new system in iRacing is that seamlessly, despite, you know, that was a thing before, but I didn't think it was possible now, but it still is, that when the cars get their lights on, the number panels get lit up as well on the side of the car.
Ah, nice. Certainly helps us a lot.
Yeah, especially I love this costume number plates as Glazen's goes up to 5th, by the way. So you were right talking about him, especially in this, these beautiful gold number panels for the gold class drivers. They are really striking, and also we start to see the beautiful LED strips on these cars. And you can see the Ferrari. Hopefully someone has got a magenta or purple or pink light strip on his car, because I really love that. I think only the Ferrari has it, of the cars now, as Miles trying to get past Anderson. His car is very much wounded. This is the fight for 5th in silver, and for 14th overall, Miles get the position back.
Just trying to find the find the settings you can have for your LED lights. I'm struggling to find them at the moment.
No, it's only the Ferrari, the Ford, and I'm talking about GTs. The GTs can do that, and I think the Ferrari can, because you know, it shares the same basis. Actually, this was done way back when. Well, I say way back when, but of course, the FIA then changed the idea. But the basic idea was to have this shared platform between GTE and GT3, and so actually the Ferrari, the 488. Can be bought as a GT3 car, and you can purchase an extra package to convert it into GT, and then you can switch around, you know, as Boland is in. So that's why they are very similar in appearance, etc.
So Berlin, the first of the front runners to come into the pits. I said earlier on you can pit upwards of 40 minutes into the race, but well, prove me wrong, because we're already at 41 in it. They're still completing laps. Usually, we have a little bit of a thing going on ever since the first round of the season. We always say Martin Van Liesno's the shepherd, and everyone else is his sheep or his cattle, and will probably come into the pits on the same lap as him. That's what usually happens, and you can maybe assume it's going to happen today. He is 26 seconds ahead. I mean, we have not seen domination like this. It's his birthday. I don't know if he's eaten a lot of cake, and maybe that's helping his Ferrari propel down the straights, but this is the most dominance we have ever seen in this race by any driver. Martin Van Liesnout. Hopefully he won't let it up. We want to see as dominant a performance as possible at this point. And it looks as though there's going to be nothing that can stop him from claiming his 9th win of the season.
We swear we haven't paid him, thanks to Scooter in the chat. Told us, I have been having a good time just watching these races. Announcers just add that touch. Thank you. From the bottom of our heart. And the bribe will be paid very soon to you.
Honestly, they're really working out, these bribes, aren't they? It makes
Yeah.
us so competent. Great investment. Of course, if you like this podcast, do check out the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel, because we do many other races. I mean, probably about 6 races a week on our own YouTube channel, and also check out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights on the iRacing Esports Network, because we do all those streams, and we're very happy to do so.
Speaking
also,
of the Ferrari, no, go ahead,
yes.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, also like our Facebook page as well, to see what broadcasts we'll be doing in the future.
You know, speaking of the Ferrari, I'm sure you saw the pictures of the new 2020 version of the 488, and it's I don't know what is different, but it looks a bit different. I have no idea why. It will be, if I'm not mistaken, a package that you can purchase for your car, so it won't be a brand new car, so people please don't go clamoring in the forums to have the new Ferrari scanned. But hopefully, you know, usually AF Corse, you know, basically an official team, even not in name, they come to my local track to do some testing in the winter. And they tested extensively the 488 when it came out, so hopefully I can give you some insider information very soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. Almost has a little bit of a Scuderia type look. I don't know. I'd say. But yes, you can see a little bit of a change there. A few more drivers coming into the pit. So currently top of the drivers who have pitted is Bod Bolan. Neil Cooper second out of those drivers. Then it's Nick Sherman's, Chris Marietta, Chris Warner, who pitted actually on that last lap, and of course making his way up through the field. He's already in 15th place and has made a pit stop, so actually he's going to gain a few places, I imagine, whilst the pit stops are occurring as Martin Van Liesnout comes into the pits. And well, we'll see if our hypothesis is correct once again. Will everyone else follow him down one of the longest pit lanes, I imagine, the entirety of iRacing this? Of course, mega structure, this facility, and can hold any events in real life with ease, of course, with the facilities that they have. As well, they are all coming into the pits. Will anyone stay out, I wonder? Matthias de Tige will be next across the line, but so Van Sick, Phillips, Claysons, and Ward all coming into the pits. Will they come out in a different order, I wonder?
You might have noticed, of course, the very unique, once again, the Ferrari, I think, is the only car that has this in the field. This particular, like, almost lilac, is that a word in English? Color, you know, light
yes.
purple. Yeah, and it comes from behind, and if we see maybe a close-up, maybe of Claysons here, you might be able to spot it as well. So the idea is that they found out that this is the best color for night driving. You can see this nice, almost, you know, psychedelic hue to the inside of the car. As you know, he got a bit emotional here, Claysons, because he massively cut the chicane. You know, we only have as Anderson gets a driver standard warning as Claysons gets passed. You know, with the new server that we're using, we are only 5 seconds of delay between you know, what we say and what the people see at home. You know, so maybe he was watching us and he got a little bit excited, poor PJ. But back to my point. So it was learned, as Ward goes back to maybe give him the favor back by running very wide, that this is the best color, and the light actually comes from the back of the driver and not the front. And this, of course, is also to help him, you know, not be You know, because you might look at your instrumentation and then look back at the track. It's pitch black out there, and you are a bit you're not used to the sudden switch in light. This is the dawn, so that the lighting situation is the best possible. So if we jump on board, you will also see that the display of the Ferrari is black, and during the day, I don't know if the Ferrari does it in some cars in iRacing. I think about the Porsche Cup car, for example. In the day, the dashboard is a different color than in the night, and this is something that other simulators, I don't say the name, Italian, don't do right. They have the same bright white display both in daytime and in nighttime, and it's not very right.
Yes, so another nice element from iRacing. I mean, when it comes to detail of these cars, I challenge anyone to cause a fault, to find a fault with them. Absolutely go to the nth degree to get as realistic as possible. Quite a change during the pit stops then. So Lewis Ward is up into 3rd place. Clayton's nearly managed to jump him, but of course made that mistake. But they've both got ahead of Bod Boland, who drops down into 5th place. Boland's had a 3-second longer pit stop than Lewis Ward. Ward with the shortest pit stop out of pretty much everyone in the field. He's about 2 seconds faster than everyone else, so maybe bank one less lap. Of course, with Martin Van Lucenor so far ahead of these drivers, half a minute ahead, he might force an extra lap when otherwise, if he wasn't in the race, they would have one less. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Could be issues for Lewis Ward later on, but at the moment, no issues for him because he is running in 3rd place. Dion Phillips as well got a speeding penalty, it seems, during the pit stops. So he had a 15-second longer pit stop, and he's down into 7th place now. So he was running in 4th, now down into 7th. Really is very good for the Alpine Sim Sport drivers because they're quite a comfortable 3 and 4 as we speak.
So look where he's pointing, very still a bit of light. Look behind. You will see we have a car there. If we didn't have that car in some parts of the track, I think about turn 1 and 2, there it is pitch black already for these drivers, and you can see getting darker and darker. The drivers are certainly facing big challenges in these final 10 minutes of the race. This is usually when the crazy stuff starts to happen. Let's see. I don't know if it does also in the spectator view. I think that when we have an overtake now, we should see the flashes from the cameras, from the stands. So it certainly works when you are driving at night. I don't know if you ever tried it, Sam, on the ovals, especially when you drive at night and you make a pass and the fans are taking pictures. It's quite rewarding.
Oh, that's how it works. Wow. Okay. I mean, we've got to watch out for that. Unfortunately, I've got such low graphic settings. I fear like I may not be able to see it. But so of course, I'm sure, Marco, you'll scream in excitement if it does happen. Another brilliant element, of course, iRacing, all these trackside stuff. At Detroit, Belle Isle, you got boats down the stream. Just
the new steamboat model.
Yeah, the steamboat model, non-rated, of course. And I run the lowest graphic settings, of course, and yet the steamboat is still there. Not quite sure how iRacing are placing their priorities when it comes to graphics. But I mean, I was very pleased, to be honest, when I saw that. So certainly check that out. Of course, there's trains as well around one of the dirt circuits. There's aeroplanes at Daytona, I believe.
Donington, also there are aeroplanes.
Donington.
Yeah, Donington has a plane every once in a while that flies
really?
on top of the middle portion of the racetrack. Yes. So you might remember my solution to the pitch black tracks, like a temporary solution. You place every corner or every 2-3 corners a voluntary driver in another car that is not one of the cars in the race.
Of course, yeah.
The headlights are so powerful. When you go to the start-finish line and you see the pace car, actually the headlights are so bright. It's actually.
If we go TV3 right now, I think we'll go past the grandstands, and you'll kind of be able to see from kind of a fan perspective, I guess, what the headlines, what the headlights are like as they go down start-finish line. But yeah, and also you might see the safety car as well, just in the distance. But there they are.
We have an overtake, but the fans are really not. Maybe it's so dark they can't find their cameras, but we can certainly see the discs glowing in the dark. That is so one of the things that still excites me, even in my 30s. You know, now when I see the brake discs glow at night. And also I have to commend iRacing because they also did a good job with the new headlight system that they introduced 2 builds ago, 1 build ago, not in this one, I think in the previous one, and really helped drive at night. Now the headlights are more, as they are about to lap someone there, the headlights are more powerful, they cover a bigger portion of the racetrack. It has been a change that has been needed for quite a while, especially now that we have night racing, but not all the tracks are night racing ready, so to speak. So a welcome change from iRacing. So Lewis Ward and PJ Claessens. Claessens is really coming into his own in this second part of the race. You were right, Sam, in pointing it out a few, well, half an hour ago, more or less, about how quickly was catching up to the guys in front of him, and now he's knocking on the footstep of a podium, and I don't think he ever got to the podium in this series.
Yeah, you might be correct. Just thinking who we're going to give driver of the day to. I've got a pretty good idea, and I did palm it off to you last week, so I think I'll take responsibility for this one. PJ Claessens certainly up there, because if he can make this move, he'll finish in 8th place. There's a couple of other very good drives out there today. Who did we give it to last week? Was it Claessens?
I think the driver of the day was Plowman last week, but I might be wrong.
Yes.
Or Claessens. You know?
I think it was one of those Fury SimSport drives. Fortunately, they've had a bit of a tricky day. Have a few sim sports. Still got Neil Cooper doing very well up in 6th place. That might be Cooper's best result in this series. But his 2 teammates a little bit further down just due to issues. Warner recovering up into 14th place. He might yet get past Ben Thanes, who's having a good run in the silver class, up in 13th place. Slightly fewer drivers down with the attrition rate that we've seen. Some really good results for drivers as Warner trying to, once again, fighting the mentioning earlier on, no way of getting past this part 6, so he just has to wait and try to stay close, maybe force some mistake, as we've seen lots of these drivers very close on incidents as we move into the final few laps. Anton Dupin just ahead of these guys, so it's drivers start inexcusably going to a little bit slower. That might be why is contact between Ward and Claessens. They don't want to disqualify one another with a 4x contact, because this would be probably their best result of the entire season, sitting in 3rd and 4th there, 6 seconds ahead of Bod Boland. They've been dropping Boland ever since the pit stops, and they really cannot afford to risk any more of this. I mean, Marco, you used to be a team manager of 1050 Barbanera Racing. I mean, what would you be telling these guys right now?
Well, use your heads. No, my drivers usually didn't have them, had their heads.
Oh, here we go, side by side. Claessens is going to move ahead seemingly. Does get past Lewis Ward. Lost it coming out of the pit lane due to a mistake. Will Ward retaliate straight away? Surely there's going to be no rash moves for these 2 drivers. And the Ferrari, who seems to have been the faster driver over the last 40 minutes or so, I think now has a big chance at claiming his first podium in this series.
So they did use their heads in the end. I mean, I cannot blame my drivers because I mean, having me as a team manager usually is not a good recipe for success. So we have 3 Ferraris at the top of the table now, with Van Loosener, Van der Slick, and Claessens, followed by 3 Mercedes and a couple of Audis The lone BMW in the top 10 is the Tige, and Moretta is rounding up the top 10.
By the way, the fastest lap of the race has gone to Martin Van Liesenoord so far. A 2-minute 1.62 as Thames hard into the wall. And I was mentioning how he was having a very good race earlier on. There's been a few commentators' curses already today. And Thames might be able to continue. We saw Anderson have a similar impact to that and is still running out there. In fact, actually not too far down the road from where Thames is now. But that is very disappointing for him. Loses out to a couple of drivers. In fact, has he only lost one place? I think he's only lost one place there to Chris Warner.
Yeah.
But he may lose a few more as the other drivers behind of Roots, Plowman, and start closing him in. We've not got long to go in this race. In fact, yeah, 2 more minutes. And the leader is just starting a lap. So this is going to be actually very close. Whether we get 1 more lap after this or 2 more laps.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on where Van Loosenaard is. Neil Cooper here in a fight with Dion Phillips. Of course, Phillips on the comeback trail after that unfortunate pit stop mistakes he had. Jump on board with him.
Ooh,
Careful.
almost contact, and I'm wincing every time we almost hear contact because if they do get a Porex, then all of a sudden one of them could disappear, or both of them could disappear. They seem to have done a pretty good job, these two, actually, of keeping it within the white line. And oh dear, well, oh my goodness.
Well,
I'm gonna have to make a compilation of this. Curses, because I think there's been 5 or 6 today. It's not been a good day. Phillips then drops way away, 3.5 seconds now to catch up to Cooper. That battle's probably over. Van Loosenaard, we have got... Oh, we've got 40 more seconds to go. Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll get 1 more lap.
indeed we will. 2 corners to go for our race leader, as now it is properly dark. And the white flag will be in the air for Martin Van Loosenaard. Final lap of the race starting right now.
He could have slowed down if he wanted and just take the checker. That's the gap there. He's got 34 seconds at the moment. Moretta, 9 paces gained so far. Next up, Tetige. He's defending on the inside, taking quite a tight line there, Tetige. Opens it up slightly, but still a very acute angle going into the hairpin, but it narrows up so much on the exit that there's very little that the driver getting the cutback can do, and the run to the next corner is just too short to really show that overspeed. See, this is really where you want to have not picked up many 1Xs earlier on in the race. Really does give you a lot more freedom to race as you wish. Moretta trying to get the outside line now. Potentially a little bit more grip on the outside there, whilst there are some marbles. The track may be a little bit less slick, which can boost the speed that you can have.
Oh, around he
spin.
goes. Plowman. And so I think that was the, last moment for, possible, excitement of the race as the drivers are still fighting. Well, I say that, but we still have some very close battling up and down the field. But I think the positions have been somewhat settled. And for Martin Van Loosenaard, only the stadium section is left before he can claim yet another race victory. The 9th in a row, the 10th if we consider the non-points paying round at Daytona to open the season.
Yeah, add the rounds, of course, from last season as well. On the eve of Halloween, this has been scarily good from Martin Van Loosenaard. He comes around the final corner and he wins race 9 of the Dynamic Simracersworld GT Series. And that was absolute domination. Half a minute clear of the rest of the field. And that will be one of his best wins, I'm sure, ever in this series. Kevin van der Slick will be coming home in second place, providing that he doesn't get tangled up in a back mark. I believe this might be James Hobson. He's just trying to negotiate right now. And he will just come in behind him. So second place for Van der Slick. Claysons is going to come home in third, it seems. Him and Ward taking slightly less fuel, but they got enough fuel to get across the line. Just. I mean, that was close. I was joking a little bit that they might not have enough fuel. Although, well, he's fine in the end. He accelerates. So he was tricking us. Ah, dear. Boland's fifth. Cooper sixth. Nick Sherman's is going to be top of the silver drivers, seemingly. And that is a big win for Nick Sherman. Bolsters his championship charge significantly. And a battle that we haven't paid too much attention to today. The bronze class championship. And right now, Jais Mujdi, who is a little bit further back in the championship, I believe. Oh, sorry, no, you're actually in second place. And with William Bush not scoring many points today, I think this will be the points that Jais Mujdi needs to move into the championship lead with just 3 rounds to go. So he comes through the final couple of corners. Jais Mujdi, a little bit of a quiet race for him. Going to be one of the last drivers to cross the line, but he wins in the bronze category at Circuit of the Americas. Rob Thiessen.
Thiessen is out of fuel and being pushed. No, who's that? There's someone that has been pushed.
Yeah, it was Chris Warner.
Warner was being pushed and he has finished in the top 20 P19 for him. Dramatic end to the race. I think everyone is home safe and sound, and so we can go through the final race results for this Circuit of the Americas round.
Yes, and it's Martin Van Liesnoord who wins out 32 seconds clear of the rest of the field of his teammate Kevin Van der Slick. Good drive actually from Van der Slick to move from 5th to 2nd in the end. PJ Claysons finishes in 3rd place, his first podium of the season, we believe. So that was 11th place on the grid as well. Lewis Ward finishes in 4th, then Spod Boland, Neil Cooper, Dion Phillips, Nick Shermans, Chris Moretta, and Mateus de Tige rounding out the top 10. Jeremy Hessels finished 2nd out of the silver drivers in 11th overall, then Anton Dupin. Ben Thanes, Ian Roots, Ingmar Anderson, Martin Plowman, Bram Ben Utzman, Jais Mujdi, Chris Warner, Rob Thiessen, Seb Herbert, Roy Verkerk was the first driver 1 lap down. Then behind that, we were also 1 lap down. There were quite a few of them. John McConville, Stephen Castrop, James Hobden, Lee Woodburn, Steve Clays. Then the retirees were Pim Bell, Chris Miles, Ben Llewellyn, Sam Bentham, Stephen DeWolf, Ruben Van Buell, Kevin Boland, Ryan Walker, Danny Crows, Ronald Moons, Tom Metherell, and Ewan Marshall. Surely one of the highest amounts of retirees we've ever seen in this series. I think 12 of them in the end. Quite incredible there. And the majority of them in the early stages as well. We've also got to announce driver of the day. I was going to go for one driver, but I think, seeing that it's his birthday, I think for the 2nd time this season, we're going to give the driver of the day to Martin Van Liesnoord, just for that incredible domination drive from him. He was 32 seconds, like I said, clear of the rest of the field. I don't think we've quite seen domination like that recently, especially coming from Nürburgring and Sebring, where he was very much challenged today. He was in another league. So congratulations to Martin Van Liesnoord there, your round 9 driver of the day.
Yeah,
so,
the confirmation is on the screen, and it's getting very dark, and so for that matter, I think that the pictures from the racetrack will not serve a good purpose right now. I think we can go through some interviews.
Yes, and I think the first man we've got to have an interview with will be Martin Van Liesnoord. Congratulations, Martin. That was incredible, your pace advantage. I mean, in the recent rounds, you've been challenged, particularly Sebring was very close for the win, but today you just seem to have half a second to a second on everyone else out on circuit.
Hello, guys. Yeah, this is, I think, one of my favorites. I think you might wonder why this circuit. I don't know. I love this track. and I started to love it from since this season. I think I did a world record in two GTEs and in the HPD this season in the iRacing Le Mans series. So yeah, I think I'm starting to like this track a lot. So yeah, it was a good one for me.
Definitely. It was getting quite dark near the end of the race. In fact, midway through the race. Were you expecting that, and how was the visibility near the end?
Oh, I haven't practiced going into the dark, so that was it was a big surprise for me because there's no light on the track, and you couldn't see you basically couldn't see the apex, and there are a lot of corners where you need to see it, of course. So it was a big struggle, and I spun in the last lap as well, so I lost the 6 seconds there.
Yeah,
But
I was.
yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking that you seemed to lose about 4 seconds right at the end there, but no, you still did very well with that margin. 3 races to go now. I mean, it's getting closer to the clean sweep. No one's ever completed that in this race before, winning every single round of the championship. But I mean, that would be quite an achievement, and it's getting quite close now.
yeah, I mean, let's go for it. That's all I can say.
Definitely. And also, we heard it's your birthday. So
Yeah.
congratulations. We won't ask what how many you've had in the past. But I mean, this is a pretty good birthday present, I imagine.
Sorry, a pretty good what?
A pretty good birthday present, I
Yeah,
imagine.
definitely. Yeah, this is a good birthday present, of course. Um, yeah, definitely to say.
Absolutely. So, yeah, before we let you go, Martin, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for covering this series. I'd like to thank my dad, as he is uh, suffering skin cancer and he has had surgery today. So it all went all good, and he told me to race and to win this one. So I did this one for him. Would like to thank UJax Racing Simulator, Uitert, and RB Skill, of course, for putting the hard work in.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Martin, and once again, congratulations on today's result.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
That was Martin Manley, who's known for Rev Match Esports. Oh dear. I think it's It's Rev Match Esports. Yeah, it's not Rev Match
Yes.
Racing Esports.
No,
It's
it's
Rev
Rev
Match
Match
Esports.
Esports.
Ah, it's not almost at the end of the season, and we're almost nailed. Marco, who do you fancy having a chat with now?
You know, it's not our fault because if you really think about it, this team has changed names
I
hundreds
mean,
of
yeah,
times in the
and their liveries.
and the liveries. Learn to race, learn to drive, etc., etc. Let's have a chat with Kevin van der Slik. Why not? He's in the broadcast booth with us. Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
So, a good second place for you. It was a tight battle between basically second and the positions near that. After the pit stops, though, it seemed like you were able to really put the power down and get clear of the fight behind you and get a nice podium.
Yeah, definitely. The start was a little rubbish. Uh, went from P3 to what is it, like P9 or something? Because I had a little touch with Chris Warner, but luckily I had the pace back on track early in the stage and yeah, climbed back to second place and just look after really after the tires because it's a track that's a lot of corners. Braking hard and yeah, most of the front tires are getting really overdriven pretty quickly. So I was just looking after the tires and see what's happening in the back. So I was literally just driving the pace behind me, and when they put the power down, I put the power as well. So that's how my race went. Just no accidents anymore.
What about the incident count? Because I think you started with already some, I think 2 or 4 for that contact there. So was it hard to manage the incident points getting towards the end of the race in a track like this?
It was difficult because I had a lot of incident points in the start. Put the power down, so I had to go off track a little bit. And at the end, when it getting dark, I couldn't see one thing. So I was like, they're 8 seconds behind me. I have probably like 6 or 7 incident points more, and I'm disqualified. So you know what? Let me just break some little more. I don't care if Martin is that fast because he was just literally a second faster, and I was just getting my second place covered. So that's all it mattered at the end of the race.
Uh, one more question, of course. Series is getting closer to the end. We have 3 rounds left. Will you be racing next week at Imola?
Not sure because I planning on a holiday end of this year, begin start as second year of in 2020. So definitely looking forward to my vacation first, and then yeah, might as well just hop in the car later on the season. But definitely need my time off from work and racing, and enjoy myself in different countries.
Thank you very much, then, Kevin. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, of course the team, and of course Marta. He made a great setup for this track, and yeah, of course happy birthday to him, and yeah, the you guys of course for hosting it, and yeah, UXG, Scale Works, and all the sponsors that are involved with Ref Match. So huge thank you, and see you for the next 3 rounds left.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Once again, congratulations and have a good night.
And thank you, same. Bye bye.
So that was Kevin Van Slick, another driver for RevMatch Esports. Getting the hang of it. Final interview, of course, will be with Ian Roots.
Good evening, guys.
Da,
But
da,
yeah,
da,
good evening.
da, 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 da.
Cheers, guys. Well, I managed to qualify, Sam.
I mean, congratulations. 17th? I didn't
I
know
know.
numbers went that low. That was incredible.
I'm not quite sure what happened. 1.8 seconds a lap quicker than I've ever been before at COTA. I don't know. Something must have happened. I'm sure everybody was sandbagging.
Yes. Well, I mean, in the end, starting from that place didn't prove to be too good because he got caught up in a bit of an incident, I believe, midway round the first lap.
In actual fact, I got off quite lightly. It was like the parting of the Red Sea. Yeah, I got off quite lightly. I managed to work my way through it. I did get a clip on the front, which put some damage on the front, but it didn't affect the car at all. It was just a bent bonnet. But I managed to get through quite lightly. But I thought, oh my God, I must have made up about 6 or 7 places there. In actual fact, I stayed exactly where I qualified. So I'm not quite sure what happened. But after that, it was just a case of getting my head down and just try and run the pace. And it worked quite well, to be honest. And finishing 14th, it's one of my best results of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had a titanic battle with Ben Thames. I swear you were battling with him about 10 minutes in, and then just looking at the results, you were 8 tenths behind in the end. I mean, that gap seemed to kind of open and close quite a few times over the course of the race.
Yeah, it did. I think each of us was making mistakes, and we're trying not to run off track. As you know, this track is synonymous with off tracks. It's horrific. You've only got to put 2 wheels over the line, and it's an off track, which is, a bit daft, really, to be honest. But yeah, I think he made a big mistake at the end. I think he was 5 or 6 seconds ahead of me and made a big mistake, and I managed to catch him up. And then I had a massive battle with Martin Plowman. I don't know if you saw that. We were side by side for several corners and swapping places. And I managed to get the better of him. I think he spun out in the end and finished up kind of battling with Ingemar again at the end. But did Chris Warner run out of fuel on the line?
He did. I think he was going a push across the line. He lost about 20 seconds on the last lap.
Right, okay, I thought so because I knew I was finishing potentially 15th, and then all of a sudden I came around the final corner and there was a couple of cars on the left-hand side of me, and I'm thinking one of them's a back marker. Was it Steve Clays? I'm not sure. And then Chris Warner was on the left. I thought, well, there's another place. So yeah, 14th. No, good result really. really pleased with that.
Definitely. Unfortunately, due to inconveniences, you've only got one more round of the season to go. I believe you're missing the next 2 rounds.
I am, yeah. Only a small reason. I'm just getting married. If nobody knew, I keep going on about it. Really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's on Saturday. I've finished work now, so there's no more work now for until the 18th of November. So yeah, it's a case of let's get all the final details for the wedding done, and yeah, married on Saturday, and then fly off on honeymoon on Monday morning.
Awesome. Well, hopefully it's very enjoyable and the wedding goes very well. Before you let go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just just everybody really. All the admins again, you guys, week in, week out, fantastic supporters of the series. Yeah, just everybody that's involved, everybody that watches, every driver that races, they're all very passionate. Passionate is sometimes an overused word, but the guys that race in this league are very passionate about the league, and it shows sometimes and can overspill sometimes. But we don't mind passion, because normally the racing on track, as you guys have seen, is absolutely phenomenal. Not tonight, because I'm looking at the results and I think Martin absolutely ran away with it tonight. But you look out behind that, and there's some really close battles, and there is every week. But yeah, so just everybody that's part of the group, everybody that races every week, and you guys that broadcast it. So yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you all at Silverstone for the grand finale.
Yes, awesome. See you then. Have a great couple of weeks, Ian.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
So that was Ian Roots, of course, the organizer of this series, or the main organizer. There's a few of them. And driver for Sim Racers World. So, Marco, that's COTA done and dusted, and Mats Mendes winning out comfortably. I mean, it's not the biggest record necessarily to get all the race wins, but it would be a testament, one, to his speed, and two, to his sheer consistency and dedication to this league if he could get 12 out of 12. And we're getting pretty close to that moment now.
I mean, I would love to win all the races in a series. So don't downplay it. It's a massive result, especially in a field this competitive. Now we get in Imola, of course, after this one, a track where it's very hard to pass. Then is the big unknown, because we are in two tracks that this series has never visited, and they are actually quite new to the iRacing service. The newest one of the road courses, Barcelona, and then of course the new and improved, so they say, Silverstone. So certainly the playing field will be leveled a bit more for the final 2 rounds. Qualifying will be super important in Imola, as you know. You have commentated many races there, and we know that passing will be tough, and it's one of those tracks where really it's going to be important to be in a rhythm, make zero mistakes. It's not like here that you go out and you get the tarmac. You go out there and you get the gravel and the grass. So once again, qualifying is going to be important. I think that is why Ian is skipping this round, because the qualifying is so important.
Oh, yeah,
And,
yeah, of course.
and honestly, I don't know what to expect about GT3 racing at Barcelona. It's going to be quite a surprise to see if these cars will race well on that racetrack.
Yeah, we've seen some not great races at Barcelona, but from on Apex Racing TV. The races at well, I remember the iRacing 2.5 championship, and it was quite a dull race just because no one really overtook one another. Hopefully, we won't see the same thing in this race. I can almost guarantee it will not be like that. I'm sure Imola next week. That should be fantastic. Always love going to Imola, one of our favorite circuits, and one of the drivers' favorite circuits as well. Hopefully, one of your favorite circuits back at home or wherever you're watching this video. Certainly, thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it. And also subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. Some terrific series on this. And of course, just a reminder, Apex Racing TV are broadcasting on the iRacing Esports Network on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. So always check out the broadcast on those time slots. And of course, also, if you wouldn't mind, please check out the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel. We do plenty of other series, some really entertaining series as well. And also check out our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that stuff. And that will give you updates to all the series that we're broadcasting and also some of our live streams as well. But for now, from me and from Marco, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.